So we were here yesterday. So we have seen that how to derive the matrix form of the simplex method. So the entire simplex table can be represented using this form, right? And we have understood uh, what stands for what. So for example, can someone tell me that what is this you know what are these expressions? Is 1 0 CBB inverse A minus CB inverse A CBB inverse B inverse. What are these? So first of all, if you look at it, I see, you know, yeah, tell me. So what is capital A? First of all, what is capital A?
It is the original matrix which we started,
Yes.
like
And a small c?
once.
So this was the original, system of equation, right? 1 minus c 0, 0, ai, z x xs and 0 small b. Okay. So all these are given. Fine. This is small b, c, capital A. So these three quantities are given, right? Are fixed, isn't it? So here we see, so what are the quantities that are changing, that will change from one iteration to another? What do you think? Because we know small c, capital A and small b, these are all given. You cannot change it, right? So what is it that is changing from one iteration to another?
CB and B inverse.
CB and B inverse, very good. So these two are the variables basically in this representation. Okay. And which is quite logical, because we know that from one iteration to another we just change the base, right? So one variable enters the base, one variable leaves the base, so your base changes. So the moment your base changes, your B inverse will change and your CB will also change, right? Okay. Now so when you try to understand this in terms of the simplex table, we know that this first column is representing the column of z, right? The second is for the x, which are the original variables, and then the third column is for slack variables, right? Then the first row, this first row is for the objective row z, and then the second row is actually a set of rows, right? Which are for the basic variables xb, right? And the values of those basic variables xb are given in the right hand side, which is b inverse b, and then the value of objective function and function is this cb b inverse b. So understood, right? So now given b inverse, right? So if I give you b, then you can compute b inverse, right? And then you can generate the entire simplex table for it, right? So for example, here from this example is giving you a representation for the table, for the base which is optimal, right? We know that this 36 is the optimal objective value. Okay, so can you work it out on your own with this, like so what will be the base in the optimal solution? What was the base? You see, what was the base in the optimal solution? This one, right? So this was the optimal solution for that example problem, right? uh, where the Z value is 36 and the solutions was x1 is 2 and x2 is 6 to 6, right? Now I want to generate, suppose, so if I give you this base, although you will not know that this is optimal, beforehand, but I want you to check whether the base x3, x2 and x1, so that means these three variables x1, x2 and x3, these three in the base, and then x4 and x5 are non-basic. So can you check by using this matrix form whether this is I mean, first of all, what will be the solution, right, and the objective value, and whether it is optimal or not? Can you check this? So I give you a base x1, x2 and x3. Fine. Now I'm going back to this. So x1, x2, x3, suppose I give you this base. So can you tell me whether, can you tell me first of all the solution corresponding to this base, that what are the values of those basic variables and whether it is optimal or not? So as we have observed in the tabular method that, we have, done Gaussian elimination and many other things from the earlier iterations in order to reach this optimal solution. Now using this matrix form, if you are given the base, you can directly generate that table. So you do not require the earlier tables in order to generate the table corresponding to this base, right? So how do you proceed? If you are given a base x1, x2, x3, how do you proceed to find the solution and to check whether it is optimal or not?
Like the values we can find by multiplying the vector, like small b with b inverse. So we'll get the values of the base variables. Yeah, and for the value of z, we have to do CB b inverse b.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll get the value of z.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. And then how do you check whether this is optimal or not?
One second.
Positive coefficients in the table.
Yes. So this is
CB,
max.
this C B inverse A minus C should be, the values in that should be positive. Like I'm telling algebraically.
Correct. Correct. And only that.
B inverse A should be positive.
B inverse A. How do you check optimality in the table? First of all, tell me. How do you check optimality in the simplex table?
In the table, the coefficients should be either 0 or positive.
Positive for the non-basic variables, right?
Yeah.
Because for basic variables, it will be anyway 0.
Yeah.
Right. So here also you have to do same thing. So you have to check the coefficients for the non-basic variables, right? So I have given you what is the base x1, x2, x3. So non-base is, what is non-base? Non-basic x4 and x5.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Now, so what will be the coefficients of x4 and x? Because for x1, x2, x3, I know that it will be 0. Right. So x1, x2, I know it is, the coefficients are given by this C, B, B inverse A minus C. So these are the coefficients of original variables, right? This C, B, B inverse A minus C. So that's what, if I compute this C, B, B inverse A minus C, it is coming as 0, 0, which is expected because they are basic, correct? The coefficients are 0, 0. Now, but I want the coefficients of non-basic variables, which are for x4 and x5. So where I'll find that?
That CB B inverse.
CBB inverse. Very good. So basically, we have to compute CBB inverse, right? So CB is known here, 053. B inverse is known. B inverse we have calculated actually from given B, right? So we do this CBB inverse, and we see that this is coming as 0, 3 by 2, 1, right? So that means the coefficient of x3 and x4 and x5 are 3 by 2 and 1, which are positive for maximization problem. So it is optimal, right? Did you get it or not? So simply, I am generating the parts. So to answer this question, I didn't need to generate the entire table, right? For example, you see this B inverse A is not needed. Similarly, CB B inverse A minus C, this is also not needed because I want to know only the coefficients of the non-basic variables, which are x4 and x5. So only I need to generate CBB inverse and I can answer that question, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it clear to everybody or not? That how did I answer this question, whether for a given base, what is the solution first of all, and then whether the solution is optimal or not. So two questions were asked and we can easily answer. So one nice thing is that we do not need to remember or store the previous tables. So we can directly answer this question from this matrix form. Isn't that good? Now you know that how to answer this question. So now we are implementing this simplex method in this form to this problem, right? And see how we move from one iteration to another. So this is the same as the tabular method. Only thing is that you will observe here that we are not generating the entire table but only the parts as needed to answer some questions, okay, in the iterations. So this is the beauty of this revised simplex method. So this problem is given, right? C is 3, 5, the coefficients of the original variables in the objective function AI, right, and small b, fine. Now, so original variables are x1 and x2 and the slacks are x3, x4, x5, right? So how do you initialize? We know that this is because this is in standard form. Your origin would be the SID, the initial solution. So we are initializing the base xb as x3, x4, x5, the slacks, right? And for this base, we have this identity matrix initially, so which is equal to B inverse, right? So essentially the value of xb is B inverse B, which will be the same 4, 12, 18, small b, fine, okay? And what will be the value of z? What is the value of z for this initial solution?
0.
0.
Right. So now what we do? We first check whether it is optimal solution or not. If it is not, then we choose the entering basic variable and choose the leaving basic variable, right, to change the base and move to the next adjacent BFS, right? So we now know how to do optimality test. So we have to look at the coefficients of non-basic variables. So what are the two non-basic variables here in this solution? X1 and X2.
X2.
X1 and X2. So what will be their coefficients from the matrix form? They are original variables, so their coefficients will be in CBB inverse A minus C, right? If you look at this, right? CBB inverse A minus C. So this is the coefficients of the original variables. Now, so we compute this and get -3 -5. You observe very carefully because you have to do the next iteration. If you have any question, you can ask that how I am doing this, why I am doing this, right? Any question you can ask. Okay, so -3 and -5 we are getting. Now we know that we have to choose the, so this is not optimal because you have negative sign, isn't it? So now you have to choose the most negative one to be the entering basic variable. So -5. So -5 corresponds to, so this is in second position, right? So first one is for x1 and second position is for x2. So x2 is chosen to enter, isn't it? Okay. So entering variable is identified, x2. So someone has to leave. So how do you decide the leaving basic variable? In the table, how would you do it?
Find a ratio of XB
Minimum
4, 12,
ratio
18
test.
divided by.
Minimum ratio test. So RHS. So you need for minimum ratio test, what are the things you need?
RHS and the coefficients of the basic variables, current basic variables.
Yes. So you need RHS and the entering column coefficients of that entering basic variable, right, in the system. So these are the only two things. You don't need the entire table, right? So let us see if we have that. So RHS is already known. This XB is 4, 12, 18. So this is the RHS, right? And then you have to identify what is the column for this x2, right? For x2. How do you get that? So you again go back to this form, right? So CBB inverse A minus C are the coefficients for the original variables here, x1 and x2. So, but I want the entire column, including the constraints, right? So which one will give me? For minimum ratio test, from where I'll get that column? Which expression gives me the column for x2 here?
B inverse A.
B inverse A, right? Because we know that these two, this entire thing is for the original variables x1, x2. First row is the objective row and B inverse is the constraints, coefficients in the constraints, right? So B inverse A. So if you calculate B inverse A, and so you'll have for these two variables you'll have two columns. So you'll choose the second column, right, for x2. So this is what I'm doing now. So here, what is B inverse? B inverse is the identity matrix, right? So if I compute B inverse A, I'll get what? I'll get A, correct? So in this, in this solution, B inverse A is A only. And what is A? A is 103 and 022, right? So what is the column for x2? 022, right? 022. Fine. So that's why I've written here 022. That is the A2. That means the column for x2 is 022. And you know the right hand side 4, 12, 18. So you divide it. So 4 divided by 0. You don't do it. Then 12 divided by 2 and 18 divided by 2. So you choose these two. So what is this 2? 2 is in the middle. Right? 2 is in the middle. So you see the is xb, this xb, what is in the middle? X4, right? So that means X4 will leave. Fine. So now we have identified which one will enter, X2, and which one will leave, X4. So earlier you were doing Gaussian elimination in the table to reformat it, so that the basic variables have the identity matrix. Here, we actually do the same thing, but in a different way. So here, because we know x2 is leaving, x2 is entering and x4 is leaving, so we simply have a new base. So our base has changed, will change. So what is the new base? Earlier, what was the base? The identity matrix, right? For the corresponding to the slacks. So now this middle column, x4, because x4 is leaving, so I am replacing this column of x4 by the column of x2, a2, right? Which is this a2, 0 to 2. Fine. So 0 to 2 is replaced here. Okay. So this is my new base now, where x2 has entered and x4 has left. So now for this new base, I want to find what is the corresponding solution, BFS, right? Basic feasible solution. So how to find that? You already know it. You just simply compute B inverse and B inverse B, small b. So this is what is done. So you compute B inverse, you know how to compute B inverse, and this is where you do some Gaussian elimination, in order to compute this B inverse. So essentially, this is the logic of the simplex method, right? And then XB is B inverse B. So now it is 466. And what is the corresponding CB? CB is now for x3, x2, and x5. So for x3 it is 0 in the objective function, right? For x2 it is 5, and for x again it is 0 for x5. So now I have moved from the origin 0, 0 to the new solution 0, 6, which is augmented like this 0, 6, 4, 6, 6. Sorry, 0, 6, 4, 0, 6. Fine. So this is my new solution now. Next corner point, right? So now you do this next iteration. So how to do next iteration? You first check whether this solution is optimal or not. If it is not, then you find the next solution by choosing the entering and leaving basic variable. You should be you should be able to do it on your own. So please do it. I'm giving you 5 minutes. Please do it on your own. And
Sir, how is CB found, sir? Once can you explain again?
CB.
Yes, sir.
So
How is it found?
CB is the coefficients of the basic variables in the objective function. Okay. What is the objective function? Is 3x1 plus 5x2. Right. For other slack variables, it is 0. Coefficients is 0. So what is xb here? x3. So for x3, what is the coefficient in objective function? 0. For x2, what is the coefficient? 5. For x5, it is 0. So that's the
Okay,
CB.
sir.
So now you do the next iteration on your own and tell me whether it is optimal or not. If it is not, you first check this solution is optimal or not. If it is not, you find the next adjacent BFS. If you have completed, please raise your hand.
Sir, you are muted, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, okay. So, Shankhadeep Bhattacharya. Shankhadeep. Yes. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Shankhadeep. Not able to hear. Ah, yes. Can you hear me? Yeah. So, have you done it or not? Hello. क्या हो गया भाई?
Maybe some network issue from his side.
अच्छा, ठीक है. तो अर्णब,
Yes, sir.
so you have done it.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So can you tell me how you have done it?
So, so first we'll check the optimality test from there, from the place where we left. So, for checking the coefficient of x1, we calculate CB B inverse A minus C. So, using that, I got the coefficient of x1 to be -3, and
Mm.
using CB B inverse, I get the coefficient of x4, and that is 5/2. Using that calculation. So,
Okay.
so among x1 and x4, x1 has negative coefficient. So, and x4 doesn't have negative. So we'll choose x1 as entering variable,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll using B inverse A, we compute the column corresponding to x1.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the column as 103.
Right.
Yeah. So then we'll do that minimum ratio test. So we'll have two values, 6 and 4, like
Mm.
6/3 and 4/1. So
Mm-hmm.
the minimum ratio test is for the leaving variable will be x5.
Right.
Yeah. And then we add the column of this x1 in the B. Like we replace it by B, x1's column. So the matrix will become 1 0 1 0 2 0 and 0 2 3. Like B matrix, I'm telling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is the next iteration which we got. Like we come into iteration 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the CB will be 0 5 3 because those are the coefficients in the in the function z function.
Right.
Z value z is equal to 3x that thing. So the CB value will be 0 5 3.
Right. Right. Yeah. So this is exactly is being is shown here in this PPT. Okay. So we first check the optimality. So we get the coefficients for non-basic variables x1 and x4, right, from those matrix expressions. Then we get the column for x1, which is chosen to enter. Then we do the minimum ratio and identify x5 is leaving, right? So we replace the column of x5 with the column of x1, which is 103, right? So we get a new B. So we compute B inverse and get the new solution, which is 262. This is the augmented solution. Right, so 26. So and the CB is 053. Now this if you check the optimality for this solution, it will turn out to be optimal. This you check later on. Okay. So you have to look at again the coefficient of non-basic variables, and you will see that all are positive, right? So you declare this is optimal. Okay. Now, so what we have observed here, we have observed that at every step you have to compute the inverse of a matrix, right? Because your base will change and you have to compute the inverse of a matrix from scratch, right, for this new base. Now we know that inverse, it every time computing the inverse, is time consuming, right? It's quite laborious. Now we have an easy or shortcut method of updating B inverse at every step. Okay, and what is that? So here what will you do? You will not, instead of computing the inverse from B, you will directly compute the inverse from the old B inverse, right? So for example, say this is the B inverse, okay, and for this problem, right? See, if I take this problem, this iteration, what is the B inverse here? This one, 1 0 0 0. There is 1 0 0 0 half minus 1 and 0 0 1. So this was the B inverse, and we had chosen x5 to leave, so 103, right? So we had chosen x5. So 3 is that pivot element in our table, right? So we write them in this manner. So this is the old B inverse, and now we have chosen these 3 to be the pivot element corresponding to the leaving basic variable, right, x5. What we do, so in the simplex table, what you have done, you try to make this pivot element to be 1 and then the remaining element 0, right? We do the same thing here. What we do, we try to make this pivot element 1 So in order to make it 1, what do? You divide this 3 by 3, right? To make it 1. You do the same thing for the rows, for the corresponding rows of this B inverse. So you divide the last row of B inverse by 3. Okay. So what you get? 0, minus 1 by 3 and 1 by 3. Fine. So now this has become 1. But you have to make the other 0. So this is the pivoting operation, you know. So the middle is already 0. So it is unaffected. So you don't have to do anything. And then the top one is you have to make it 0. So you now subtract it from the revised pivot, which is now 1, right? You have divided it by 3. Fine. So you divide this last row by 3 and then subtract from the first row. You do the same thing for the B inverse, right? And you get this new B inverse. So if you compare this new B inverse with this one, which you have got for this new B, you know, they are same, you see. So this is a shortcut method of obtaining a new B inverse from the old B inverse. So in this way, what you are doing, you are not dealing with B. I mean, B doesn't need to be generated every time, okay? And you don't have to compute B inverse from scratch. So you can compute B inverse from new B inverse from the old B inverse by using this pivoting operation.
Sir, can you repeat again?
Yeah. So see, for this solution, we had computed B inverse, which is this one, right? For the solution, this 466, right? Which is 0.6. You know, this was the B inverse. Now the base has changed after doing all this entering, leaving, and all this thing. Base has changed. What is the new base now? So here x5 will leave and x1 will enter, right? Which means you will have a new base. So earlier what was doing, we were writing this new base explicitly and computing B inverse from that, right? What is a shortcut method is that instead of doing this, you write the old B inverse, which is this old B inverse for the earlier base, right? And the entering column, which is 103. Identify the pivot element 3 and do the pivoting operation on this. Whatever operation you do on this column, you do on the B inverse also, and you will get the new B inverse. So in order to pivot this column, you know, around this 3, so you make it first 1, so you divide it by 3, so you also divide the last row of B inverse by 3. The middle row is unaffected and the first is you subtract from the last element, right? So you also subtract this first row from the last row and you get this new B inverse, which is exactly same as this. So you don't have to write this B and then calculate B inverse from there. You can directly compute B inverse from the old B inverse. This is what I'm saying. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So here the advantage is that you don't have to compute the inverse from the scratch. So you maintain some structure of old B inverse, because in new B inverse, some row operation would be there because of pivoting, but many of them would be 0, maybe 0, right? So those rows will be unaffected. So some computation is saved in this manner. Okay. So now you do this entire thing which I have done, starting from this initial solution to the final optimal solution by using this shortcut method of obtaining B inverse from the old B inverse, and see whether you are getting the same solution or not. Okay, so these you do at home. Okay. So now today, now see, we have seen the standard form, non-standard forms. You know, for two variables, we have seen the graphical method, and in general, we have seen the tabular method. We have seen the big M and two-phase method for non-standard forms, right? And now we have seen the revised simplex method, right? Which is nothing but, you know, a matrix representation, algebraic representation of the tabular method, right? Uh, so now it is time to do some assignments. Okay, so I'll give you some assignment today, some problems which you have to solve on your own and practice. And then, so unless you solve it on your own, you know, you won't be able to learn it properly. Okay, so now it is time to do some practice. Okay. If there is any question in